The flavor guy here, and today we're going to make a vanilla extract. We've done this a few times, and I'm going to make something a little bit different. I'm going to show you a little trick. So a lot of times vanilla extracts are really at the mercy of the beans and where they come from. For instance, Tahitianist vanilla beans have a chocolatey, creamy note. It's one of my favorites. I absolutely love that bean. But you can't always get them. One year they could be very plentiful and you could find them, from every supplier, and the next year they're in, short supply. The good news is more and more countries are growing vanilla beans. I'm doing a project right now in Vietnam and Cambodia to grow vanilla beans, teach local farmers how to grow them. And that's also to help bring the price down too. They're insanely expensive and they don't have to be. And the more farmers grow them, the better it'll be for you and me. And the quality will also go up, I believe. One of the things that I don't like about the way vanilla is grown today and in different places in the world is that there's middlemen, lots of middlemen. And the farmers are passionate about the way they grow the vanilla beans, and they don't get paid that much. But by the time the vanilla beans make it to the United States or Australia or Canada or the EU, the price is so inflated. And that's because of this middleman, these middleman brokers that come in and they inflate the price. They buy the beans cheap from the farmer and then they make a ton of money. There should be a fair price, and the farmer should get more of the money. He did all, or she did all of the work, and then all the middleman does is bring them from the farm to whatever country, usually by air or sea. My goal is to teach farmers anywhere they can grow vanilla, beans in the world, how to grow them and be self-sufficient and set up direct marketing campaigns. So anyway, without further ado, let's get started on making this extract. I don't want to get on my high horse too much. So this is a really nice vanilla bean, and it's actually, we've spread it out here, but it's pre-weighed the exact amount that I want. These are really nice beans. They're very dark, rich, very chocolatey. I like a little bit more chocolatey flavor, so we're going to have some fun with that today. But these are nice. They're not a bad bean. You can see they're very beautiful. They're unblemished. These are gourmet beans, typically what I start with. I don't buy the cheap cuts or foxy splits. I buy a really high quality bean, and with a decent amount of water content. I tend to dry them out a little bit, so that makes it so I have to use even more beans than a typical extraction. That makes our vanilla extract a little bit different from everyone else. The more water in the beans means the less vanilla beans I actually have to use to make their extract. If you dry the beans out, the law is the law. You still have to use, in our case, about 14 dry ounces per gallon of vanilla beans. They're still pliable, but not real soft. They're not 22% water. They're more like 5% water. All right, so now we're going to start grinding our vanilla beans, and I'll talk a little bit more about what's going to be special about this extract. This extract will be available for sale on Nature's Flavors website after a couple of, more than a couple of days. We're going to let this age for about a week, and that's one of the things that makes our vanilla extract unique and special, is our aging process. But let's get started on grinding these beans up first, okay? So we're just going to start putting them in here, and you want to get that surface area as big as possible. So the smaller the beans, the more surface area there is to make contact with both your alcohol, your water, and your glycerin. Okay, so now we're going to pour our beans out into our extraction container here, and I'm just using a regular, stainless steel container, and I'm going to let them sit in here over the weekend. Our beans look absolutely beautiful. You can see they're nice and chopped up, really good size. And I'm just going to pour them in here. You just pull the blade out nice and gently. And you can see these beans are just perfect. They're finely chopped. It's beautiful. What's going to make this vanilla extract different? I like those chocolatey notes we talked about earlier, and so we're actually going to add some cocos to this extraction. And cocoa powder is nothing more than ground up cocoa beans. Vanilla extract is nothing more than ground up vanilla beans. And so the same extraction process that's going to act on the vanilla beans is going to act on the cocoa powders as well. Now, I chose two different cocoa powders. They're not actually labeled, they just say cocoa powder on them. One is a dark, one is a lighter. They're both organic. But there are as many cocoa powders as there is kimchi, salad from South Korea. So it's all walks of life where cocoa is growing. There's so many different varieties and how they roast it and how long they roasted it. We roast cocoa beans too. And so you can really dictate the flavor you want. And in this case, we're going to extract it. This will become a working formula when we're all done, and it'll be available on our website in about a week or so. And you can actually try this particular vanilla extract with cocoa added to it, and I think you're going to be blown away. You'll taste the cocoa, but it'll be a very mild chocolatey undertone to the vanilla. It'll taste like a Tahitian vanilla extract without using Tahitian beans. We're adding a decent amount. You can see the cocoa powder right here. We're going to add this cocoa powder. The dark cocoa is in here also. This is the lighter version of the cocoa powder on top, kind of a Dutch process. This is non-alkalized because it's organic. And we're going to add that to the whole blend so you can see it in there. We're just going to stir that around with our vanilla beans. We'll have it nice and uniformly mixed. So the vanilla beans and the cocoa now are kind of mixed together, both the dark and the lighter cocoa. This is going to be amazing, an amazing vanilla extract. The next thing I'm going to add is my alcohol. The cocoa powder, of course the vanilla beans too, aren't going to dissolve and go away. They're a solid, they're plant solid, and they're going to just sit in here and extract, especially with the pure alcohol. Very little water is available right now. Now we're going to add water to this mixture in a minute, but first I want to get that vanilla exposed to all that alcohol, and the same with the cocoa powder. I want it all kind of mixed around. It doesn't dissolve into the mixture. So we're actually extracting from the cocoa powder. We're going to take the cocoa powder out of this extraction in a few days and then allow this to sit. But it'll extract over the weekend. When this sits over the next 24 to 48 hours, it will be clear. The color of the cocoa, because it's plant material and it's flowing through the actual alcohol, it's going to fall to the bottom and disappear. Even after we add the water, it's not going to stay dissolved in this formula. Only thing we're doing is we're extracting both the vanilla bean, we're extracting the vanillin and other plant essential oils, if you will, aromatics from the vanilla bean, and we're doing the same thing to the cocoa. It's all going to become part of that liquid measure. Next thing I'm going to add is sugar, and we can make this without sugar. We just simply leave this part of the formulation out. I add sugar for a lot of reasons. One, it helps to crowd out the formula and make it less dissolved oxygen in the formula, because this is a solid. And once we add our water, it won't dissolve now because this is alcohol in here. But once we add our water to it, the sugar is going to dissolve into the extraction. It's going to have less of an opportunity to oxidize. It will oxidize very, very slowly in a very positive way as part of the aging process. But there's not going to be a lot of oxygen dissolved into the solution because the sugar is going to take up that space. So here goes our sugar. And again, it's not dissolving yet. I'm just going to put it in there. It's still a suspension like all the other ingredients. Just want to get it evenly mixed into this product. Okay, now I'm going to get my water. And the water is reverse osmosis water. I don't use tap water. I don't recommend that you do either when it comes to making flavors or anything. I mean, when I make sorbet or ice cream at home, or if I make a syrup, I always use RO water. It's stripped. It has nothing going on. There's no chlorines in it. There's nothing going to oxidize our flavors. It's just plain, pure water. So we're going to add that now to our mixture. And now our sugars will begin to dissolve. And that's also going to help our extraction start as well. So there are some ingredients inside the plant material that are water soluble. So anything that's alcohol soluble, anything that's like oil based, they're going to come out because of the alcohol. They're going to get dissolved into the alcohol. And any of the water soluble ingredients, sometimes that's tannins, but there are some of the natural flavor components. that are water soluble, they're going to come out in the water. Because my formula contains sugar, the only way you're going to get that sugar to dissolve is by adding water to it. It's not a cheap ingredient by any means. It's a necessity to have it there. The last ingredient that I'm going to add before we seal this up and allow it to extract over the weekend is we're going to add a little bit of glycerin. And the glycerin does two things for us. It also helps to dissolve some of those ingredients that are found naturally occurring in our vanilla beans. And it also will act on the cocoa powder as well. And the second thing it does is it also acts as a preservative naturally. Glycerin is a natural antimicrobial agent. It has a high Brix ratio as well, so it actually helps to raise the solids in the product and keep bad things from growing. The fact that the alcohol content is 35% by volume also is going to assure that this product doesn't grow any yeast or mold or bacteria, anything that can harm us. This product has a relatively high pH, but because of all that alcohol and the addition of glycerin and the amount of sugar we put in, it's very, very unlikely to ever grow anything. I've never seen a vanilla extract grow anything, at least in the vanilla extracts we make here. Last ingredient is my glycerin, and that's a very heavy material, and I'm going to steer that in right now. Nice splash. I'm glad it went the right direction and not on me. Of course, you can't tell with this black shirt on. You know, it never gets old making vanilla extract. This is one of the very first flavors I made when I was like 4 years old, and I'm always intrigued by it. It's actually one of the simplest things you can make, and yet it's one of the most complex flavors. It's the #1 flavor in the world, and I would just love to see more and more people use natural vanilla extract and even make your own at home if you have the time. It's actually pretty fun. You can make this with regular vodka. You won't add any additional water. You just use the vodka as your water and alcohol together. Maybe sometime we'll make a batch of that where we just take some store-bought vodka and grind up some vanilla beans, and we can make it taste pretty good, I promise. All right, so this is our extract now. And you can see the beans are kind of getting nice and washed. The cocoa's in there. It smells amazing, absolutely amazing. It's got a really cool chocolate look to it. You almost want to just scoop it up and taste it right now. It would not taste good. But it will in a couple of days, I promise. When we go to make some cream with this, or maybe we'll make a little ice cream. That would be fun. Okay. That's our vanilla extract. If you'd like a sample of this vanilla extract was made for the first time exclusively right here in my lab by the flavor guy, and you think that you'd like to try a sample of this, here's what you got to do. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll send you a sample of this vanilla extract, a 1/2 ounce bottle, until they're gone.